What's up, man?
Welcome to the A1 podcast. It is your host, Asif Ali. I'm joined today by NAL, NAIO American, SXU, meaning St. Xavier's University, all special teams, record holder, and now current Chicago Police Department. Oh, I can't say that. Can I say that? Can I say that? Can I say that?
Let's just not talk about that.
Let's not talk about that. All right. Record holding kicker, Abdul Mahdi. Abdul, how you doing today, brother?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Doing all right, baby. You know how we doing. So just
a pleasure to be on, man. It's a pleasure.
100%, brother. Yeah, if listeners, if you don't know us, kind of, our relationship. I coached Abdul a little bit when I had the Illinois Cards semi-pro team for a very brief amount of time, and Abdul is willing to admit that he is definitely the best kicker, right, in the entire state of Illinois. And he's second best special teams player to the guy speaking to on the other end of the phone right now. So it's all
to
good.
My
baby.
counter half.
To the older version and less talented, less athletic version of you.
I was a kicker, so I don't know about athleticism.
100%. Hey, shit. I see you running. You're running every single day, so you're doing big things. So,
Yes,
all right. So how you been, man? How's New Year's been? Everything.
Man, with this COVID stuff, nothing's the same, man. And with my new career and all, holidays are more dangerous than anything.
Right.
Especially with a holiday like New Year's, there was a lot of danger out there, man, because people are shooting up in the sky, and you don't know when it's a serious thing.
Right. Pretty much with that, I think it's a good point, because obviously with 2020 now 2021, kind of just like a lot of the things that we've seen, a lot of the different things that have just been transpiring over the past year. It's just been crazy. Obviously a lot of them civil unrest. Obviously, one of your friends, Evan, who was on, a few weeks ago, he was talking about kind of like he's not trying to involve himself with political banter, but sometimes it's hard to escape it, because obviously, like, in a career where you're at the front lines, it's very, very, very hard to kind of just be, trying to detach yourself from it, So it's just
there. Man, it's pretty tough.
Yeah,
it's
pretty tough
because you no matter what your opinion is, you can't show what your opinion is. So
true. Yeah,
you're a neutral party.
100%. So it is what it is. But we're not here to talk about politics. We're here to talk about sports, brother. So yeah, let's go ahead and start with you. I know you. The viewers may not know you. Listeners may not know you. But that's fine. So let's go and start from your early life. You were so Abid is a nickname, but your real name is Abdul. And it's essentially kind of, because if anyone wants to look up on Google, they're going to have to look up Abdul Mahdi to kind of find out, your SXU kind of highlights into your career. But
right.
Anyhow, let's start with your kind of early years. I know this, but the listeners may not know this. But your first sport was not football, right? So talking about your early years.
No, so it was soccer, and that's what my dad got me into when I was younger. And I came to an age where I was good at soccer. I did some under 18 national team stuff, and I was playing for the Fire developmental team, Chicago Fire, that is, in Chicago, the pro team here. Mm-hmm. Then I came to an age where I realized, like, man, I'm not that good. Like, I'm good, but I played against teams from all over the world. And when you go up against talents from like Germany, Spain, England, that's where the real money's made. When you're playing soccer in England or Germany, Spain, any of those, it's like playing in the NBA here. Mm-hmm. That's the type of, like money you make, the type of talent you go against. So when you were playing here, you do realize that back in, when I was playing like 2010-ish, 2014-ish, you did understand that you can only go so far playing soccer here. If you wanted to make a career out of it, you really needed to be exposed to, the international market, basically. Right. And I knew I wasn't that good. And if I was going to play internationally, it wasn't going to be in like a top tier league.
Right.
So I feel like, one of the most important things when you're an athlete is your awareness, you being conscious, not always thinking you're the best at everything, because that's a lot of the guys' mentalities in all these sports. So I realized, I'm like, man, I got a decision to make, because I'm not that good. I'm good, but I'm not that good.
Being too
So
modest, brother. Go
you
ahead.
said what?
You're being too modest, brother, but go ahead.
I mean, no, it's the truth, man. So like a lot of guys, like you see in the semi-pro world, how a lot of guys think they're going to the NFL,
Right.
and they end up, playing till they're 38
Yeah.
with no backup plan, and they end up playing Saturday nights at like Gately Stadium in Chicago,
I don't even know what
130
that is.
Cottage Grove. It's just the reality of things, man.
Right.
That's like one of the most important things of being an athlete. When it's like for you, for example, you knew it was time to hang it up. Some
Right.
guys end up having catastrophic injury at an old age rather than hanging it up. But back to what I was saying. So when I was playing soccer, I realized, man, it just wasn't the way to go, man. Like I wasn't gonna like ever be big time in soccer. So I just stopped playing. Like I didn't plan on going to college, none of that stuff. And then in high school, especially because I went to CPS school, Chicago Public School,
Mhm.
they push going to college, all that stuff. I was one of the smarter guys in school, and they're like, "You're not going to college?" I'm like, "Not really. I don't really plan on it." And they're like, "Well, that's just not the right way to go." And I'm like, "Well, I just don't want to go." And then my athletic director, who you're friends with on Facebook, Eric Ware,
Mhm.
owe a lot to him because he's like, "Man, you stop playing soccer, but man, try to play football, man. Try kicking, whatever." So I'm like, I always had a lot of respect for him. So I'm like, man, I'll try it out, but not sure if that's what I want to do. So I go out one day, practice, and I'm kicking, and I'm doing pretty well. Looking back at it, it was horrible, but I was doing pretty well.
Right.
And he's like, man, why don't you, kick the last few games of our senior season?
Mhm.
And I'm like, yeah, why not? So my first game, I actually still hold the record for the it's called Stag Stadium or Stag Field on 76 and Morgan here in Southside Chicago. And I kicked a field goal. I think it was like 40 something yards. It wasn't that long of a kick. And it turned out to be the record for the stadium. And I'm like, wow, okay, cool. It kind of makes you feel like, oh, maybe I'm good at this. So, I go on longer. I play 2 more games, and I make the All-Star team for the CPS. I'm like, wow, All-Star. I didn't really play a full season. I never did this before. So yeah, I played the All-Star game. I don't remember. Oh, the All-Star game ended up raining out. So it wasn't much of an experience. It ended up raining out. We all left. And
And
then
I don't mean to stop you, but this is basically 2013, your senior year, when you're
no,
being,
this is 2014.
2014, your senior year of high school, right? And pretty much
Yes.
that's when you got to play football, and then pretty much
Right.
that was your only year that you played organized football
I
at
wasn't
that.
even consider it like again, I went to CPS school. There was no kicking coach. There was no special teams coach.
Right.
I was out there on my own. I didn't have equipment. I didn't have a holder. I didn't have a kickoff. Well, no, we had a kickoff tee. It was one of those orange, like $2 ones.
Hmm.
But like, it's not like I had the tripod holder you've seen me use.
Yeah.
I didn't have a tripod holder to practice with. I would just plant the ball into the ground and just kick it.
Yeah.
So that's really what That's literally how I started kicking. And then I remember the season ended, and I'm just like, well, this is it. I mean, and again, my coach Eric Ware was like, man, why don't you go kick at St. Xavier? I'm like, oh, kick in college? I didn't plan on going to college. He's like, no, that's what you should do. Try it out. So I go one day, and excuse me, I remember it was spring ball. You remember the college days when you guys would have spring ball?
Yeah.
It was spring ball at St. Xavier. I go over there.
Hmm.
No, all I see is fucking. Are we allowed to curse on here?
Fuck yeah, we're allowed to curse on here, brother. Come on now.
All I see is fuck. I see behemoths. I see fucking. I've never seen dudes this big.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn, this is like the kind of shit you see on TV. I see
Right.
all these offensive linemen, 6'5", 350.
Right.
Like, what the hell? At the time, I think I was like 6'2", 6'3", maybe 140 pounds.
Uh-huh.
So
So you're
I
like
go in there.
my weight when I walked on to San Jose City, because when I walked on at spring 2008, I actually graduated a semester early, and then pretty much I was around 159, 135. So you're about 5 pounds and 3-4 inches taller. Actually, yeah, 4 or 5 inches taller. So I
Yeah, man.
definitely know what you're talking about when you talk about kind of getting to and kind of just being in over your head a little bit, with kind of next level athletes at collegiate. So good.
Yeah, man. So I mean, right now I'm 6'3" ish, 6'4" ish, hovering between 245 and 250. So I gained a lot of weight between. So so I go during spring ball,
Right.
and I meet the head coach, Michael Feminis, who is also one of the bigger influencers in my life when it comes to the sport.
Mm-hmm.
I go in there and he's like, "Hey, what's up?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm a kicker from high school." He's like, "What high school?" I'm like, "Bogan." He's like, "They still got a football team?" So I'm like, "Yeah, they do."
Yeah.
So I go over there, and then the special teams coach. I think I've told you stories about him, Michael Slovic, one of the
Yeah.
greatest men I've ever met in my life. Man, this guy, he did not follow, the clock that everyone followed. He went on Lombardi time. At the time, I don't know what Lombardi time was, but he had the mentality: early's on time is late. You're late, you're out of a job.
Yeah.
That's the mentality he had. The man he was just something else, man. Like, he was just the perfect example. I can't even, like, basically, if you have kids and you want to turn them into men, have them on this guy. This
Mm-hmm.
guy was just something else, man. This guy
Mm-hmm.
was like just Bill Belichick quotes, Vince Lombardi quotes all over the special teams room. This man he literally, like, he did so much extra work on his own time. I can't even. I'll get into him in a bit, but
Sure.
anyways, I go out there and they're like, "So you wanna kick over here?" I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, I would like to." And they're like, "All right, well, come kick a couple." They're like, "Watch the end of the spring practice, and we'll get some field goals in after." So, like, "Do you have a ball?" I'm like, "No, I don't have a football. I've never had a football."
Right.
Like, "All right, you can kick some of the special teams balls."
Okay.
So I kicked a couple of field goals. I made them. Looking back, I'm pretty sure they were not great kicks, but I made the kicks. And they're like, "Okay, come back." No, actually, I think I went. This is 2014, so this is almost 5 years ago. No, shit, 7 years ago. So I think I followed Michael Slovic to his office, and he's like, "What's your number?" All that stuff. And this is how this man was. I believe it was a Friday, and I was still in high school. So Monday, he's like, "I'll call you Monday." So you got to remember, there's a whole weekend that goes into play now. And he's like, "Monday, I'm gonna call you once you get out of school." I'm like, "Okay." He's like, "What time's a good time for you?" I'm like, 3:45. I promise you, 3:45, my phone was ringing. Literally 3:45. I remember it was
3:45
7.
a.m. or p.m.
No, PM.
Okay.
Right after school.
Got it.
773-298. I'm like, "Hello, who is this?" He's like, "It's Michael Slovic, St. Xavier." I'm like, "Oh." He's like, "You told me to call you at 3:45. Look at the phone, and it was 3:45. So he's like, "You want to come out today, kick a couple of balls?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll come out there." I had a car at the time. I was a senior in high school. I go over there, and where I grew up was about an 8-minute drive from St. Xavier. Put it in perspective. Bogan's on 79th and Pulaski. St. Xavier's on 103rd and Pulaski. So you got to what? About, less than 30 blocks to 24 blocks, 3 miles. 3 miles from St. Xavier to Bogan. It's not a far drive. So I go over there, I kick a couple of balls, and there's a guy over there. I'm like, "Who the hell is this guy?" He's like, "Oh, this is the other guy competing for the kicking spot." I'm like, "Oh wow, like, damn, I'm competing with somebody. I'm not even I don't even know I'm coming to the school."
Right.
So he turned out to be some senior. I'm not gonna say the guy's name. I don't know if I should. he's some senior at the school.
It's up to you,
I'm like,
bro. You can say
oh.
whatever the fuck you want, man. It's your episode.
I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like, competition, I've never had to deal with that before. Like, I've kind of dealt with competition in soccer, but like, damn, like, already I'm competing with somebody. So we're kicking, and I did a lot better than the guy. I did a lot better than him. And then I finished the day, and I go to his office again, and he's like, okay, so have you done like the application to go to the school? Have you done this? Have you done that? What's your GPA? What's your ACT score? What's your academic status? What, all that stuff. So to put into perspective, we graduated high school in June. So now we're approaching May, and I'm like, well, I mean, and then as you played in college, you start summer ball in June.
Yeah.
June, early July.
Right.
So I'm like, he's like, we got a scrimmage coming up, the spring game scrimmage, offense versus defense. And then well, no, I don't know how it was. I think it was a first string quarter. I don't remember. But anyways, they're like, you can't play in the spring game scrimmage, but you can be a part of summer ball. So you need to get this all done ASAP if you want to compete for a spot on the team. We know what you got now, but you got to compete for a spot now. Like, I thought this was the competition. So anyways, I do the application. I do, how you got to do the whole financial aid if you qualify for it, all that stuff. And then I go back again, and then there's a guy named Spencer Nolan who was at the time so he was the guy that had just graduated. So basically they had a somewhat vacancy in the kicking spot, even though they had a senior that was there. He had just graduated. I meet him, and this guy, he just looks like, yeah, I'm NFL. This guy's got on his shorts. He's got on a Bears t-shirt. He's got like 5 or 6 Duke balls with him. The Duke balls,
the
$100
Dukes,
ones.
alrighty.
Yeah, he's got on these cleats. He's got on the socks that come up to your knee. I'm looking at this guy. I'm like, wow, this is professionalism, So I'm sitting, and this was my last day kicking before, like, hey, we're cutting this off till this was like the last time kicking before we're cutting it off till summer ball if I do end up attending the school. Kicking with the guy. And, I don't want to say anything rude about this guy, but he had this like ego thing about him, I'm older than you. He was actually real old. He was in his late 30s.
Wow.
He was in his late 30s, yeah. Mid 30s, maybe. So he had this like, I'm older than you. You've never kicked before. Oh, you're in high school. You're going to be a freshman. You're going to listen to me. I've never had that kind of personality to where like you can just boss me around. Right. But me, I'm real teachable. I listen. There's a way to teach people, You were good at teaching people. You weren't one of those guys that told people, oh, wow, I played pro. Basically this and that, you work with people. So anyways, we start kicking, and he basically tried to make it into a game to where he thought he was going to beat me, but he made it into where, oh, I'm getting ready for a tryout with the Bears. I'm like, oh, that's cool, man. I hope you make it.
Right.
So we start kicking. We start from like 30 yards. Make my kick. He makes his kick. We start going back. We ended up going to 55, I think. So basically, he had missed from 55. I made mine, but looking back at it, it wasn't a great kick, but it still went in. And he's like, hey, man, that shouldn't even count. In a real life, that would get blocked. I looked at him. Well, I'm like, in real life, yours would have missed anyways. Like, it had no chance because it missed.
Right.
And basically, he's like, oh, yeah, you know what? I can already tell what kind of guy you're going to be. You don't like hearing anything from people. I'm like, no, man, it ain't that. But, you missed your kick. I made my kick. And yeah, you're trying to sit here and say, it would have missed. But it didn't miss. Yours did.
Right.
So you have something to say about my kick, even though it went in. But you have nothing to say about your absolute miss. It had no chance. It didn't go in. You know, it was wide right or left.
Yeah.
So then he's like, well, I don't want to play anymore. I'm going to do some real kicking, snapping, and holding. So a snapper actually comes out.
Mhm.
It was like, I'm like, wow, what the, where are these people all coming from? And I'm over here just watching. He didn't want me to kick with him anymore. So then the special teams coach is like, listen, man, this guy, you know, he's a little older. This is Michael Slovic. He's like, this guy's a little older, you know, all that stuff, you know, just listen to him. He's got to try out with the Bears coming up. I looked, I'm like, man, if this guy's trying out for the Bears, I might be on the Patriots one day, you know? So anyways, everything is done now. You know, this was my last time coming out and just kicking on the field with the coaches. And, you know, I saw special teams coach and the head coach. You know, the funny part, real quick, the special teams coach coached our college head coach in college.
Hmm.
And now he's the head coach, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, yeah, so he comes out and so they talk to each other, and then I go inside to the office again, and then he's like, go see the head coach. So the head coach is like, I swear to God, the head coach is like, here's the numbers, here's what we can offer you for scholarship, blah, 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 whatever. I'm like, scholarship? Like, you guys had, like, I was like, you know, I was grateful. I was real grateful. But the thing is, like, you know, you give someone any type of scholarship if they have high school film, if they any type of film. Like, I had no type of film, bro, like nothing. And then
Like
I
me.
didn't like.
Yeah,
I
I
had
know.
no film, and
Yeah.
I have like no experience. What did
Right.
you do? Oh, I kicked a couple times in high school. Oh well, have you you know, you trained, you practiced? No. So this is like this in my head, these guys are taking a gamble on me, man, because there's a lot, and St. Xavier is like notorious for their recruiting in state.
Hmm.
In state, they don't, you know, look for people outside of the state.
Right.
So now I'm looking. There's a lot of guys in these Catholic schools, like Mount Carmel, St. Lawrence, St. Rita, Brother Rice, all these schools around that have great kickers, and they chose to, you know, roll with me. And I'm like, man, I cannot, you know, let these people down, man. Like,
Right.
I have to, you know, like pan out, you know. So we get into summer ball, and I'm every day, you know, we were doing doubles, and every day I'm out there. You know, we start 6 a.m. No, 7 a.m. Every day I'm out there 6 a.m. kicking before everybody. And like, you know, the work didn't go unnoticed. Like coaches like saw me. They're like, man, this guy is really, really like practicing. And I would come out here and I would, you know, practice, you know, doubles. You're basically together all day. And then you're around the football field all day. You know, we're eating together. We're hanging out together till the next practice, till the next meeting, all that stuff. Basically takes up your whole day. You basically are eating, sleeping, and breathing football from like 6 a.m. to like 8 p.m., the last like practice and dinner. But throughout the day, the field is empty sometimes because people are at meetings. And I'm always out there kicking, to the point where like, man, my legs were getting like sore. So we get to like, you know, the decision part of like you know, our first game's in August. This is summer ball. We have 2 months to go. And, you know, we get to that part, and basically now they got to make a decision. And long story short, I was announced a starter on the first week of football, first week of my freshman season. And I remember, man, my very first extra point against Marian University, who in my time playing, I think they won the national championship once or twice, and they've been to it once or twice. You know what I'm trying to say? I think they won one and lost one.
Right. So they were
So
always in the NAIA national championship mix, basically.
one of the best teams, yeah. So long story short, my very first PAT, point after touchdown, extra point, gets blocked. I'm like, well, man, this is not
Man.
fun. This is not
Yeah,
fun.
I can only imagine.
And we go into the half. I believe
Right.
we were down 10-0.
Mhm.
We go into the half down 10-0. If I don't remember if it was 10-0, but we go down playing bad, looking bad, down 10-0. We're at Marion, I wish I can show you one of the loudest crowds, one of like the best atmospheres you can play in NAIA.
Right.
Unbelievable. We're down 10-0. And we're down 10-0 in a way where you guys should be down more. Like, you know what I'm trying to say? We caught a couple of breaks. We come out the second half. Long story short, we win 65-10. We won 65-10. I'm like, damn, this is not too bad, you know? Then our second game. Actually, no, wait. Our second game, we play against University of Indianapolis. You know, top tier D2 school. And we play them here. We play them, you know, in Chicago. They beat us the year before 55-10 or something like that. They had absolutely, you know, beat the shit out of us. Again, I wasn't at the school, but, you know, you watch film of the year before, this is what they do, whatever. They beat us 55-10. And we ended up winning that game 16-12, 16-13, and I had 3 field goals. I kicked 3 field goals. So we had 1 touchdown and 3 field goals. So, you know, those 9 points were the, you know, pivotal part of the game. And, you know, everyone's like, man, you have no idea how big time you were today, whatever. So then how we did things was we played Saturday. Sunday we were off, and Monday we came in for meetings. We had no practice Monday. We came in for meetings only. I come in and I get an email. I was announced the special teams player of the week in the conference. And I'm like, wait, really? This happens? Like, they do this kind of stuff? So, you know, again, man, you know, this is also new to you. You know how things are done. And your second game, you know, you're playing a really good school and you're named the conference player of the week. But this began to happen like almost every other week. So I got used to it eventually in my career. But the first time it happened, I'm like, oh, look what I did. Look what I got. So it was just a different feeling, man. And then basically that was my freshman year was our best year as a team. We just, every game, bro, you just expected to win by 40, you know? Like, you know how Alabama is in the SEC? That's how I felt we were. Like, every time a team played us, they're like, all right, we're not going to win, but let's try to limit the damage. We were beating everybody by 30, 40 points, man. So we end up finishing I think we had one loss in the regular season, and it was just when you don't, an upset, you know, you just don't play, you play to the team's level, you play down to their level. So we ended up finishing 3rd or 4th in the NAIA in the country at the end of the season. You know, we host a playoff game. We hosted every playoff game. We played a team from Kentucky. We beat them. Then we played Campbellsville or Lindsey Wilson. I think they were both from Kentucky. I don't remember. We hosted both of them, beat the both of them. Now we're in the semifinals of the we got a first round bye. Then second round we played Campbellsville. Then quarterfinals we played Lindsey Wilson. And now we have the semifinals. And man, this was one for the ages. We were playing in December in Chicago. It was absolutely fucking freezing. Fucking freezing, bro.
Yeah.
And we're hosting Southern Oregon.
Right.
So man, this was something, because you win, we're going to Daytona Beach for the national championship down in Florida. Mm-hmm. And, you know, who doesn't want to go to Daytona Beach after playing in like 2-degree weather, right?
Yeah.
So we host Southern Oregon, and they come in, and when I tell you they beat the living shit out of us, they just came and absolute, bro. It was, I remember, I'll never forget this guy's name, Austin Dodge. That was the name of their quarterback. This guy looked at our outside linebacker. He's like, come blitz me, basically. He told him, come blitz me. And it was so windy. And they were going against the wind, too. Like, the wind is in their faces. And this man throws a fucking bullet, like 50 yards on a line, like on a rope, against the wind. touchdown. I'm like, who the hell is this guy?
Yeah.
Like, it was almost like a Madden created player on rookie, I swear.
Yeah.
I'm like, this guy is like unbelievable. And the other part is, so we lost and all that, but this is so far back. I feel like I could say this. I had a really good game. I scored the opening points of the game. I had the first 3 points. I had a 45-yard field goal. All my kickoffs were touchbacks, and they had their kicker, who ended up actually Aldrich Rosas. This guy played for the Giants. I think he's currently on the Jaguars, maybe.
Yep.
If you search him, this guy actually went to the NFL. He's still in the NFL, I believe.
Yeah. Aldrich Rosas, yep.
Yeah, so I play against him. And, I feel like I played better than him, man. This was my freshman year. So I knew at the time, I remember looking at his stats, this guy was really good. I think he had 80% of his kickoffs be touchbacks. That's unheard of.
Right.
But again, he's in Southern Oregon. They played against teams in Colorado, whatever, So it makes sense. The air's thinner. But, that still doesn't take credit away from him. He was really, really good. Like, he came into Chicago and was kicking touchbacks too. But I looked at him and I looked at myself. I'm like, this guy's not better than me. And if he is, he's not that much better than me. And he was older than I was. So I'm like, man, I think like this is what I can be really good at. This is better than soccer. So to put it in perspective, we lost the semifinals. They go and they play in Marion. That team we beat 65-10. They played them the national championship. They beat them. I remember Rosas. He was older than I was, so he declared for the draft. He didn't get drafted, but he got signed as a free agent. I think the first team that gave him a tryout was the Cowboys. I remember following them a little bit. And now our season was over. And now, I mean, the way you look at it, right, after a season like this, it can only go up from here. I finished first team, I believe, all conference. Again, this is my first year playing actual football. First year of actual football. So I finished first team all conference. I think I was second or third team All-American. Don't quote me on that. I'll have to search that. But I'm like, man, like,
yeah.
I'm like, this is awesome. Like, it could only go up from here. Like, I can't go down from here, right? So now I go into my second year. My second year was my worst year. My worst year in my football career. I go in, I'm thinking, hey, like, I'm the guaranteed starter, which I was at the time.
Mm-hmm.
That they declared I was like, you meet with the head coach during the offseason. He tells you, listen, this is what it is. It was real transparent in St. Xavier. There was no game playing. They didn't go behind your back. That's what I loved about that school. It's like, you're our guy. We're not recruiting a kicker. You have 3 years to go here. We're not recruiting a kicker. This is your show, basically. So hearing something like that can be good and bad. You can be like, oh, well, this is my show. I'm going to show them why it's my show. Or you can be like, oh, easy. You get complacent. So it was my worst year. I wasn't practicing. I wasn't going out early anymore. I wasn't doing any of that stuff. So we got to a point where every year we hosted Marion in our first game, always. So we got to the point where there was about a week and a half left to the game, the opening game. And I'm looking bad. So Slovik takes me. So I'm kicking, and Slovik tells me, come out to the side a little bit. And this man tells me, listen, he's like, listen, you motherfucker. We have a game in a week and a fucking half, and you can't make a damn extra point right now. Get your shit together, or we're going to get embarrassed on Saturday. He looks at me. He's like, I don't know what the fuck has gotten into you, but this is not it. And I would rather go for 2 every time rather than you thinking you can get on the field and just, do whatever you want. I thought about it. I'm like, damn, we do have a week and a half till the first game. Right. So I turned it up a notch, but it was still, it wasn't my greatest season, man. A lot of distractions, getting caught up in college life, being the starter. At first, my freshman year, you were always on edge. You're thinking like, oh man, am I going to lose my starting spot? Mm-hmm. So you were just a lot more relaxed and complacent when you're told, you're our guy. There's no other guy right now. So no matter what I did, I felt like you can't replace me. There's no other guy. And that was just a horrible mentality to have. And I don't have that mentality anymore, but that was just the mentality I had. So I think in my sophomore year, we ended up not making the playoffs. We went from we're about to go to the national championship to we didn't make the playoffs. This was the first year St. Xavier didn't make the playoffs in I don't know how long.
Mm-hmm.
We've been to like 8 semifinals in a decade. We won the national championship 2011. Us not making the playoffs is literally like the Dodgers not making the playoffs. In MLB. Nice. Or like the Patriots not making the playoffs in the NFL. Like, so we go into my third year. My third year, they're like, oh, we're not playing with you. We saw what you did last year with no competition. They bring a dude. His name was John Duvik from Kansas University. This dude's Division I, Kansas University.
KU.
I'm like, well, what the fuck is this? They're like, this is your competition. I'm like, competition? They're like, yeah. So in my head, I'm worried, man. I'm thinking of the season I had last year. I'm thinking of how, I was not who I know I could be. And I'm like, damn, he went to NIU and transferred to Kansas. So this man was on 2 D1 schools. And NIU is not top tier, but it's really mid-tier, man. It's NIU is really good.
It's D1.
Shout out to Brandon Suarez, by the way. You know who that is, right?
Brandon, if you're listening to this, shout out to you, brother.
So I'm like, man, this guy is like, what the hell is this? Like, why would they do this to me? So long story short, we get into, summer ball again. Summer ball is where everything is decided. This is where everything gets decided. So I see the guy. He's some 5'7" scrawny dude. I'm looking at him. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna blow this guy out the water. And then I see his college stats. This man never missed in his college career from under 40 yards. Mm-hmm. Never missed. Mm-hmm. I'm like, holy shit, this guy's accurate. And I mean, if you're accurate in game, imagine how accurate you are just, competing. You're kicking off the tripod thing. So I'm like, man, this is not good. Anyways, we go against each other. We did, I think, 3 days of us going against each other. And, we start 20 yards, 30 yards, 40 yards, 50 yards. I think we ended up at 55. And again, he lived up to, his college stats. The man never missed a size 40. But once we were an inch after 40, balls started coming up short. Balls started going wide left, started pulling things, started pushing things. I know you know me. I have a really strong leg. So when we got outside of 40 is when I was like, oh, I got you here. So, I mean, I'm also pretty accurate, but it's not like I don't ever miss. He was just not missing from inside 40. But at the end of the day, I made more kicks than him because he was not making anything from beyond 40 yards. Mm-hmm. And I remember the last day when the decision was going to be made, he ended up not showing up. I was like, where is this guy? He ended up just opting to not even go to St. Xavier anymore. He's like, I decided to retire from football. I swear. I'm like, what? So again, I was named starter. And I was like, this time I will not give them a chance to bring some guy in and try to take my spot, especially not my senior year that's coming up. Yeah. So I have a good year. I had a really good year. My junior year, I would, skip classes to go out and kick. I'm like, man, if I do want to play in the NFL, these are the last 2 pivotal years. I have to shine now. And I ended up having a really good year. A lot of awards. I was named the National Special Teams Player of the country one week, and I was like, this is real cool. I'm happy. I had a really good bounce back season. Yeah. And then we went to the playoffs. We played against one of the bigger powerhouses in the NAIA. For some reason, they're a powerhouse, and I can't remember their name. They're in Iowa. I can't remember their name, but they had this one running back that went to the Panthers. So we played against them. It was snowing, and we played them in Iowa. Mm-hmm. And I shit you not, we ended up going to 5 overtimes. Mm-hmm. We ended up going to 5 overtimes. They were the number 1 seed in the playoffs. We were the last seed. So we bounced back and went to the playoffs, but we just made the playoffs. We play against them, And we were up 14-0 at one point. And we're like, man, like, we're getting our swag back. This is it. And they come back to catch up with us. We end up going to 5 overtimes, Asif. I'm telling you, 5 overtimes. It came to the point where we couldn't even kick extra points anymore. You got to go for 2. So, we're exchanging punches, both scoring, kicking extra points, making them, scoring, making the 2-point conversion. Long story short, we lost the game, but it was one of the greatest games I've ever been a part of. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
5 overtime. I think the score ended up being 70 to 63 or something.
And this is which round of the playoffs is this?
First round. We were the last seed. They were the first seed.
Right, and that's pretty significant because obviously when you're playing against a team that's the first seed, and you're coming in as last seed, it's kind of like the expectations are never too lofty, for you, right? But you obviously as an athlete, as a competitor, and probably everyone else on the SXU squad that year, probably came in with the mindset, okay, this is our time to seize the moment. It sounds like you did, go 5-5, I guess quintuple overtime.
Yeah, they ran that really, really freaky RPO.
Oh, RPO, repass ops.
RPO,
and so that's an important point. I don't mean to interrupt you, but kind of with NAIA and with the D2s and with HBCUs, I mean, obviously D1A, actually all college levels coach college football, the option is a very, very commonly used scheme, right? And it makes the game a lot faster tempo-wise, right? So obviously with you guys, I'm not sure what scheme were you guys running for that season?
Oh, we were at the spread, man. We were just this 5 wide out. We had
5 wide.
We had an all-American running back, man, and we just never ran the ball.
So 5 wide, right?
5 wide, always in the shotgun.
Always in the shotgun.
I've never seen us under center.
Okay, so 5 wide, always a shotgun against an RPO.
We had no tight end. We also had no tight end ever.
Right, and it's funny you mentioned that because one of my teammates who now coaches at Deanza, John Marquez, he was tight end. And the reason I'm bringing this up because this jolts my memory. He was just mentioning how he was playing at a different school at HBCU, and they were running the option. It wasn't a spread; it was an option, but obviously that limited his opportunities as a tight end. So that's why he transferred to a different school, Tiffin, so he could get more, more opportunities. But kind of to your guys' situation, it seems like since you didn't have a tight end, you had a 5 wide kind of spread offense, 5 wide set. It made it so that you just basically, just whoever is the open man.
Right. Yeah. I mean, just a lot of deep balls. We were just, man, when we were my freshman year, bro, I remember it just seemed like we were just so much better than everybody,
Right.
Like you just throw the ball up and he just goes and gets it, touchdown, 3-play drive, You're just like, what is this? Like, this is not supposed to be that easy. That's how good we were my freshman year.
Yeah. That's awesome. So yeah.
But yeah, man, that's my college football career. And then I came to a point after I'm like, I was running my own business and I was like, football, it paid for school. It was fun. I had a lot of fun, but I came to the same, conclusion. I'm like, man, like I didn't end up being as good as I thought I would be. Like I had some D1. I had actually a lot of D1 offers within my 4 years of playing. But I'm like, man, this is, I didn't turn out to be what I thought it would be, like, exposure, all that stuff. I'm like, so for me to make the NFL, it would really, really be a long shot. Like, and I like taking risks, but I feel like, in life, especially at a young age, it's really good to, establish yourself at a young age. So I'm like, man, I'm just going to continue on my, continue focusing on my business. I'm not going to like chase a football dream because like I said, I've seen a lot of guys, man, that, chase that dream to play in the NFL and they just hit a certain age. Well, when you hit a certain age, it's too late to play in the NFL,
Yeah.
And they keep chasing that dream. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to be one of those guys. So I focused on my own business. I ended up doing really well. And I met some really, really good people, in my business. But I also enjoyed kicking. So I wanted to continue to kick, but not slow down what I was doing in my personal life. And that's how you and I met,
Yeah.
through semi-pro football. started playing. It was fun. You meet some good guys, and you also meet a lot of bad guys. Obviously, the person hosting this show is one of the good guys, but you that's how I started playing semi-pro football. It was fun, but a lot of the guys take the game way too serious to where they start attacking each other on like a personal level. They try to hurt each other outside of football. They try to hurt each other in the game when these people got jobs to go to on Monday. It should never be that serious. But that's why I'm drifting away from that semi-pro level, especially in my career now, because I can't get injured doing what I'm doing. And it's just, it's too many guys who take it way more serious than it needs to be taken. When you're playing football at all levels, you should want to win. You should play the game real competitively, but you should never be to the point where you're trying to damage another man's livelihood, trying to hurt a guy, going at his knees. That's just something that I saw that happens a lot in semi-pro, and that's just not what I want to be a part of, man. So I'm not doing that kind of stuff anymore. Just really focusing on staying in shape, working out, and pursuing the career I'm in now. Really.
So you skipped over some things. So talk to me about when you had your combine invite and your pro day, and talk to me also about when you got the invite to the NAL.
So the combine was down in Tampa somewhere, and I thought about it, and I'm like, I would really love to, but again, like I just knew that. How do I explain? I knew, like I told you, man, I knew I wasn't that good, But the NAL thing is what I took a little more serious. I had went down there,
So the NAL tryout was around July of 2019, correct?
Yes, I remember because I was in the process of what. So
yeah.
yes.
So talk to me about kind of how you got approached. Talk to me about the process of when you actually decided to go.
So the way this NAL thing happened, one day I get messaged by Brandon.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, "Hey man, I know a coach down in North Carolina for the NAL. They're the Cobras." And I'm just like, "Oh." He's like, "Yeah, they need
the
a
Carolina
kicker."
Cobras.
Yeah.
Right.
He's like, "They need a kicker." And I'm like, "Oh." So I searched them up. Powerhouse team, one of the best in the NAL, And I'm like, okay. They're like, yeah, they're current guys thinking up the joint. You go, you do what you do. You're playing the next game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay. So I said okay, but I was like, yeah, okay. So I sit there and I talk to my dad. He's like, go, you better go. But I'm like, I'm in the process of doing something way more important, Like, you know what that is. And he's like, that doesn't matter. That can wait. This won't wait. So I'm like, whatever. So I go down to Carolina. They give me a hotel, all that stuff. And no, before that, they told me to send them some film. And luckily now I'm armed with some film because of college. They're like, send 5 kickoffs and 5 field goals. So, you send them your best, your absolute best. You don't send them like, a miss or an extra point. You send them your long kicks and your good kickoffs and whatever.
Yeah.
So they're like, yeah, we want you to come down here, whatever. I go down there. I pay for my hotel. I'm just relaxing, all that stuff. And I actually exchanged numbers with the head coach. I think the head coach texted me because Brandon gave him my number.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, yeah, when you get down here, let me know. We'll get you the hotel, all that stuff. So they give me the hotel. And they're like, you're going to have to get your own transportation to the arena. I walked into the arena, man. I'm just like, wow. Like it was beautiful. You're in a professional arena, or a professional football arena. You're just like, wow, what is this? It's like being in the United Center, really. It looks like the United Center, all those, but now they put the turf down.
Yes, sir.
And, you look at those damn uprights, just so skinny. I know you know what you're talking. I know you know what I'm talking about because you played pro arena, obviously. So they're just so skinny, bro. There you go. And they're just so skinny. You're like, man, really? Like, this is so different.
Right.
I'm warming up, man. I'm just like, man, this is going to be tough. So and they had this thing over there where, so your kickoff is basically, again, I know you know this, but our audience might not. you kick off from the opposite end zone.
Mhm.
And in this league, if you kick it through the uprights, it's 2 points on the
Right.
kickoff. So that's the most thing they wanted. So I go down there and I do that. And, I did a couple days. I was there for 2 or 3 days. And, I finish it up and they're like, do you want to stay? Whatever. I'm like, yeah, let's talk. And man, when I found out what the pay was, I'm like, oh man, like
Tell me
they
what the
pay
pay
for.
was. Tell me what the pay was.
I'm gonna plead the fifth, all right? But
No, you're not. I
I'm
got
gonna
paid eight
plead the.
dollars a game when I got this ring in 2012. So you tell me what your pay was.
It was more than $80. It
Correct.
was more. It was more. It
Yes.
was somewhere around 250, 300.
Thank you.
And I'm just like, that's. But they do pay for your living expenses.
Correct.
But I'm just like, man, that's. And I mean, I'm gonna be living with guys I don't know.
Right.
Guys that I. It's just. I maybe it was different for you, but I wasn't ever gonna live in Carolina. I don't think a lot of these guys were. I think a lot of these guys were using it as a stepping stone to go to the next level. So I had sat with myself. I'm like, am I really gonna mess up the process I have going on right now in Chicago with what I'm doing to play for $250 to $300 a game with guys I'm probably not gonna be friends with? Like I'm guaranteeing you, it's very very rare that any of those guys actually are still friends because these guys use it as a stepping stone. I'm not trying to go to the NFL. So what am I doing this for? So I ended up declining and just going back to Chicago. And I'm like, I'm good. And they're like, well, now with COVID, I don't know what the hell's going on, but they were like, if you ever do change your mind, come back next year, whatever. But yeah, man, it just wasn't going to work. Like the pay was nothing in my opinion. If I was trying to go to the NFL, maybe it would have been a good stepping stone, so you have some pro film. But again, man, I didn't want to just mess up what I got going on in my personal life to say I played professional football. Like, I've never played professional football, so I can't sit there and attest that I did. Maybe people think I should have. Maybe people think I deserve I did. I never did. So.
But I think it's an interesting point you made because basically when Reggie Gray, Monday's guest, when we were talking about it, him and I had a lot of similarities. I mean, obviously all the guests, we all have some similarities. When you play high enough and long enough, you find similarities, different parallels in your journey. Reggie was basically talking about kind of his journey, and obviously when he was playing right after college, when he went to Western Illinois, and he was living obviously where you live, right, in Chicago, right, South Side. But pretty much with him, it was different because it's same with me. It was different that we're not relocated. He's playing for a team that's literally like an hour away. I'm playing for a team that's like 50 miles, 45, 50 miles max. You know what I mean? Out in Stockton. Like for you, and obviously we're getting paid. Like he's getting paid what you're getting paid. I'm getting paid what the $8 a game. For you, obviously, they're asking you to relocate. And then obviously give it's different like because obviously for me I was still a student. I was delivering pizzas for Pizza Hut. It's not the same. You're not sacrificing. Good.
You're right because there was this I don't know what their name is, but there's an arena pro football team. There's the Steamwheelers here, but that's also real far. There's another team that was here. I don't remember their name, but like what you just said back, like really your point's very it's massive here because if this was like, hey, I go to practice 10 miles away, I play, on the weekends, that's cool with me. I would have done it, but I'm over here. I live in Chicago. I got to go to the South. And you know what you and I said about the South before. So
we love the South.
So for me to go and relocate, man, over that kind of money, over, nothing, man, I was just like, no, I can't do it. Like my dad got really upset at me. He's like, you just blew away an opportunity. But hopefully one day, man, he sees the bigger picture of why I chose to do what I'm doing now.
Yeah, and I think, and yeah, I mean, it's because for you, it wasn't about. I mean, your whole goal and objective was not to get to the NFL. Your goal was just to keep playing, and just to be able to kind of enjoy playing at a higher level, right? And I think ultimately, kind of even though I mean, we may disagree about your talent, right? I think that, ultimately for you, I mean, and for anyone, I mean, it depends on who you are and what your situation is, right? If you're fresh out, you don't have a career going for you, you're still figuring things out. Reggie and I talked about this. Yeah, it made sense. For you, you have a business, you have your now current career that you're trying to kind of get acclimated to, kind of complete that process. It just didn't make sense for you to sacrifice it, and it's funny that you have that journey. A lot of other people felt the same way, on this show, or kind of at a certain point you have to realize, when you weigh out the averages, it doesn't average out, versus like like Darius Prince, who's like my age, right? And he basically took that NAL opportunity after playing semi-pro. Then he got to the AFL. He won Arena Bowl 30 with the Philadelphia Soul and won Arena Bowl MVP for that game. Then he got on the Eagles practice squad.
Right.
So just depends on kind of what your objective is. It depends, how committed you are, how dedicated you are. It depends on whatever it is that matters to you most. And ultimately, I mean, like us football, I mean, just because, you play football at a very high level, that doesn't mean you need to play in the NAL or the NFL to, kind of to validate your career. So, I mean, I think.
So I don't want to cut you off, but ultimately for me, it was this. And like some people might not like this. I wanted to play football on my own terms.
Right.
I didn't want to be held to anything because, people talk about loyalty and all that. There's no damn loyalty in sports, and especially in this semi-pro. You know how many arguments I get into?
Talk that shit.
Arguments I get into with guys that talk about loyalty. Loyalty doesn't exist in sports. You think it exists in semi-pro football, man?
Do you get paid to play semi-pro?
I'm pleading the fifth on that as well.
No, forget you. I'm talking about generally, brother. Oh, actually, no. You know what? You just opened up a can of worms. So, listeners, Abdul Mahdi just opened a can of worms on semi-pro. As a quote-unquote amateur sport. Go ahead.
Stop, man. Stop. I don't want to be a part of this.
All right, go ahead.
But yeah, man. People just, like I said, man. The amount of personal stuff that people take out of paying to play football. Like, these guys are paying to play football, but they are so personal. Like, it's not even, I can understand if it was just football, but when you start attacking people's characters outside, because, man, look, some people may not be the best semi-pro football players, and that's cool. You can, you know what, you want to tell someone they suck, you can. Go ahead. You shouldn't. Go ahead. When you attack people on, like, their personal level, like some of these guys that are not that good are successful in life. And I'm sure whoever thinks they're good in semi-pro football would change seats in a heartbeat to be successful in life, man. And again, it's not an attack on anybody. It's the truth, man. Like, this semi-pro football, it should be taken serious, because nothing that you do in life you shouldn't take serious. But there's more to life than that, There's an actual life going on outside of this semi-pro football, because if you're devoting your whole life to semi-pro football, there's something wrong with you. So success off the field is what everybody should want. And a lot of the guys that, people say, oh, you suck, oh, you this, oh, you that, they got other things going on in life, man. And that's why they can't put, 3 hours in the gym every day to be good at football when they're not getting paid to do it, man. It should be something that's done for fun, man. And that's all. And, like, if you're not happy somewhere and then you want to play on a different team, people sit there and say, oh, you're not loyal. Oh, you jumped ship. No, I owe you nothing.
Yeah.
I owe you nothing. You don't owe me anything. So should you loyalty? Oh, if you don't put me as a starting quarterback, even though I'm a kicker, you're not loyal. That's not how it works. I'm not happy here. I'm going to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
That's simple. But people talk about loyalty. Don't get me started with semi-pro, because, you and I've had these talks. I can seriously sit here and talk about semi-pro shenanigans for like hours.
Absolutely. And it's funny you mentioned that, because Evan was talking about what you just said. Kind of like, the people, the idea, and I agree with kind of most of what you're saying. Obviously, you need to take it seriously to some level, because it's football.
Well,
right?
No, what I'm saying is, if it's like me being on your show, right? It's like me being on your show right now. I'm going to take it serious. You want to know why? Because I said, yes, I'm doing this. And I'm not going to sit here and half-ass it. That's disrespect to you. That's disrespect to anyone watching. When you play something, when you're in school, whatever it is, you should always take what you're doing seriously, man. If not, leave.
Right.
Don't even waste anyone's time.
Yeah.
But when people start, talking about people's kids, people's, whatever, that's just something I can't do, man.
People's rings.
That, and you know what, man? I don't understand, like, how you can hate on other man's, like, hardware, bro. Like, it's like, whatever you think of me, like, whatever you think of Brian Scalabrine, he won with the Celtics. Whether he was good or not, he has those rings and you don't. Asif Ali has these rings and you don't. So what are you hating for? That's just what I don't get, man.
I think ultimately, kind of what I was saying about Evan was that, I think your point was correct. I'm just saying that kind of that's what I was just trying to allude to. When I was talking to Evan about, the guys taking it to a personal level and basically taking it too seriously, Evan was kind of saying what you brought up about, these guys, the guys who take it too much to heart. And when they get into the game, they're gonna go blow out someone's knee because some guy said "fuck your mother," and he said, "Really, bro? You're gonna fucking do that?" When I said that to him in practice 2 days ago, this is a man with a job, with a family to feed, and everything, and he needs his knee, he needs his body to actually provide. And so I think it's an important point. So that's pretty much what kind of I was getting at. I think ultimately, when we look at it and we analyze it, it's people play semi-pro, everyone from different backgrounds, from different levels. People play pro, people who are fresh out of high school, people who play college, and semi-pro means different things, different people. Arena football, where I played, could mean semi-pro to someone, which it is because while you're playing, and if you have another job and you're not doing it, if that's not your only source of income, then it technically is semi-professional, right? But when we talk about semi-pro in the context of Chicago, maybe the MSFL or wherever, it's two different things. It's completely, it may or may not be professional at all. It may just be completely amateur because you're not getting, like you said, you're paying to play.
It's recreational.
It's recreational, right? And so essentially, yeah, I mean, like, if you're going to take it that seriously to where, you're going to get upset about someone, just, doing whatever, taking a photo with your trophy, signing autographs, or trying to market their brand, which is probably the best way that you should try to kind of use semi-pro. It should be a vehicle for you, kind of what Darius Prince did.
Exactly, bro. So I remember when people started talking about, like, selling autographed photos. What's that got to do with you?
Yeah.
What's that got to do with you? Like, that's just, if people are buying it, you don't have to buy one. No one told you to buy one.
Yeah.
That's what I don't understand, man, is grown men, guys that think they're grown men, that sit there and just mock another guy's hustle. Like, you sell narcotics or something, and that's okay.
Right.
But someone else sells autographed photos of themselves. It's not okay.
Like, you know what I mean? And it's hilarious, like you said, it gets so deep rooted and personal. And it's just, honestly, I mean, there could be different reasons for it, some valid, mostly not. But it's not valid at all, actually, because when it's recreational, it's recreational. At the end of the day, you have to understand that, tying to your point, whether someone is as good as you think they are, whether they've played, whether they've not played, if you are paying to play and they're paying to play, then you are no better than them.
Bro, you're both in the same league. You're both
league.
doing the same exact things.
Correct. And kind of to your point, there's no such thing as loyalty because it's not providing for your education like St. Xavier did. It's not paying for your way through school. You're not getting paid to play. I like a team. I mean, you know what I mean. And it's two different things. Like, you're not getting, kind of anything outside just the joy of playing. So.
Well, no. So you talk about loyalty. Those guys that say, "Hey, we're teammates," blah blah blah. As soon as they go somewhere else, you think they're loyal to you now?
Yeah.
There's no loyalty in semi-pro. There's no loyalty in sports. You see it all the time. A guy goes from the Clippers to whatever, and then Antonio Brown. You saw what happened with him in Juju.
Yeah.
There's no loyalty in sports, bro. There's no loyalty. There's just not any. It's just, Antonio Brown. You know why his number is 84, right?
It's 81.
No. Do you know why Antonio Brown's number is 84 in his jersey?
No, it's 81 now at Tampa Bay.
Well, no, why it was 84.
Why it was 84, yeah.
It was 8 times 4 is 32, and that's how many teams passed up on him. So the team that ended up drafting you is the Steelers. And look at the shit show that happened between you two,
Right.
No loyalty, bro. There's no
It's not.
loyalty. That's how it is in the world today, man. One
It,
little thing, you can do everything good. One little thing triggers forever of like just tension and beef between people instead of like, hey, how about all the good that happened? It's just not how it is.
no, it is. To your point, I mean, like if you're a grown man and you're doing this and you're playing the sport, keep this in mind, man. I mean, could the bridges you burned because of whatever someone said or did to make you feel a certain kind of way, that may be your opportunity that you've lost. You know what I mean? So essentially, just make sure that whoever's listening to this, just ensure that that you check your ego out the door. You check your ego out the door. Keep it football. If you want to talk shit, feel free. It's football on the field. Keep it on the field. Just don't take it too personal, brother. Like you can make it personal on the field, but then when you start bringing in stuff like someone's family, someone's kids, what they're doing off the field, all type of shit, then you're pretty much kind of out of line. So I think that's the ultimate end goal of that. So I totally agree with that. So let's go ahead and talk about your favorite pro team. I think you're a Pack. Are you Rams fan or are you Packers fan? Or are you both?
So I'm a Rams fan, not because they just got good. I was a Rams fan. Well, I'm still a Rams fan because that was the first jacket my dad ever bought me.
Yeah.
Back when they were in St. Louis. St. Louis
Right.
Rams.
St. Louis Rams. Right.
So that was the first jacket I ever owned. So I've always been a Rams fan, but they sucked for a while. Still supported them. Just hated. What's his name? Jeff Fisher? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Complete waste of coaching spot.
Jackass.
But I grew up in Chicago. I supported the Bears, but the Bears are like a toxic relationship. Eventually, you gotta leave.
Right.
Put the Bears behind. Became a Packers fan because there's a bad man from California. He went to Cal Berkeley.
Yes, sir.
Number 12. I don't know if you know him.
I might.
Name
Juco.
I think his last name is Rodgers.
Yeah.
So yeah, just fell in love with that man. I loved his like cockiness. Just he knows he's that damn good. You're a WWE fan. Triple H, I'm that damn good. I'm the game. That's what he says, right?
Yeah.
When you know you're that good and you back it up, I'm a big fan of you. So I'm a big fan of Aaron Rodgers. And Aaron Rodgers happens to play on the Green Bay Packers. So I happen to be a Green Bay Packers fan. But if Aaron Rodgers was to go to like the Vikings tomorrow, I'll be a Vikings fan too.
Right.
But
so Rams fan and Rodgers fan.
Yeah, exactly. So he happens to be on the Packers. So I'm a big Packers fan. Whenever the Packers play, I want them to win.
Right.
And Aaron Rodgers is, I believe he can go down as one of the greatest athletes. He doesn't have the accolades, the rings, all that, but if how do I explain it?
Actually, I'm going to have to disagree with you there. He does have the accolades. He's a 2-time MVP.
Well,
he
no,
does have a ring.
I'm talking about like team accolades. Sorry.
Yeah.
Accomplishments.
Yeah.
Team like championships, basically. I think if you were to if there was no bias and it wasn't so stat driven, again, a lot of people are gonna completely think I'm ludicrous for saying this. He is the MVP of the league every year because MVP doesn't say best stats. It doesn't say, any of that stuff. It says most valuable player. That means you're the most valuable player to your team. You take Aaron Rodgers out of Green Bay and you put a backup, they don't win a game. You put a backup in Kansas City, they win. You put a backup in Baltimore, they win. You put a backup, any of these teams, they will do better than the Packers without Rodgers. Rodgers is the most valuable player in football. He really, really is. He's the most valuable player, man. And I know people are gonna say, "Oh, you're just a fan of his." I'm a fan of his because I believe this. I believe that he is the best. That's why I'm a fan of him. Why else would I be a fan of him? His mustache. He's a great football player, man. And I believe that, you saw how they were with Deshaun Kaiser that one year, and then Aaron Rodgers like, man, get the fuck out of here. He took them to the playoffs, I think. He's just unbelievable, man. Like the man, like what I think he's like the third. This is his third year, 40 touchdowns and like less than a certain number of interceptions. The
48 touchdowns and I believe 6 or 8 interceptions.
That is unheard of.
Yeah, the lowest interception percentage in NFL history this season. He set that record this year.
Again, I'm not a big Russell Wilson fan.
Right.
But I'm just not a fan of his. But Russell Wilson is obviously a front runner for MVP every year because without him, who knows what the Seahawks would be.
And I don't mean to
current day,
interrupt you.
because with that defense they had, I think you could have put anybody at quarterback.
Correct. And I don't mean to interrupt you because you're making a very important point. I actually had my college team Hashim on, and we are kind of previewing the NFL playoffs, and I was talking about the exact topic. What does MVP really mean, right? And when we look at Rodgers, and I actually asked Lincoln Kennedy this on Tuesday, former Raiders great. Rodgers gets the MVP only because if you look at it, you take, like what you said, if you take Rodgers off the team, 4-12, 5-11, somewhere around there, right? You take Patrick Mahomes off
No,
his.
I think less. I think 214,
313. Right, exactly. Below sub 500.
511 is like Chicago Bears level. They would be worse.
sub 500, okay? And then essentially with, kind of with Patrick Mahomes, right? To your point, which is, I also agree with this. He is. You don't take away from his talent because he is going to choose, right?
At all.
But with the weapons he has, this is exactly the point I was making. Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, Sammy Watkins, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Mecole Hardman, right? And I mean, that's just
Le'Veon Bell.
It's insane. It's just, and then Andy Reid is basically manning the ship.
The greatest. And no, you're not even giving Andy Reid enough credit. Andy Reid, if you put Andy Reid on Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers would have, how many rings, bro?
Reid. No, you're right. And let me stop you right there. I believe this is what I told my second episode ever on this podcast. One of my best friends. Well, you see me, like, I throw the ball, and condition with this kid Aaron. He's my age, and we get some work in. I told him Andy Reid is the greatest offensive mind in NFL history, by far. Easily, because when you look at the body of work, you look at Philadelphia, what he was able to do there, like 5 straight NFC championship games. 5 straight NFC champions. It's unbelievable. And then you go to Kansas City. Did you remember Alex Smith? Because I remember Alex Smith before he went to Kansas City. He was serviceable. He was good. But one of our previous guests, Brett Swain, he'll be back on. He actually played with Aaron Rodgers, like I told you. He was a wide receiver for the Super Bowl year, and he played with Alex Smith the following year. And I asked him the question, who was a better kind of, and he's like, it's like Aaron, because the ball's on the money. Alex Smith, it wasn't such a fact, but he was an athlete. But then he goes to Kansas City. He starts making Pro Bowls, right? So the thing is kind of, and I think this is the bigger overall point, Aaron Rodgers is the most talented quarterback in NFL history, period. With Aaron Rodgers being the most talented quarterback in NFL history, you have to give the man his credit's due. And back to my kind of another episode I had, about the GOAT debate. Who's the GOAT? Is it Moss? Is it Rice? Is it the guy with the accolades? Is it Tom Brady, the guy with all the rings, all the hardware, or is it the guy who use automatic, and for a fact that if you put him on any team, he will make some damage.
Look, my thing about that is, that takes back to the MJ and LeBron thing. People say MJ has 6 rings, LeBron has 4, but his 4 are way different than LeBron's 6. In my opinion, in basketball, a guy like LeBron or a guy like Michael can win you a ring. You can't win a ring in football off of your quarterback and quarterback only.
Bingo.
Look, let me tell you something. Mike McCarthy, the prior head coach for Green Bay, you see what he did, right? The man went and he had one of the best records as an NFL head coach. Do you think he did? Huh?
No, I just and I'll interrupt you again, but kind of back to Monday's episode when I had my college team and we're talking about, he's a Cowboys fan. Look at this is basically your point in a nutshell. Look at McCarthy with Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. Look at him now in his first season in Dallas without Aaron.
Like, bro, Aaron Rodgers is just like, Aaron Rodgers is your plan A, plan B, and plan C, man. Aaron Rodgers is a safety net.
Bingo.
Aaron Rodgers is the reason Mike McCarthy had a job for so long. Aaron Rodgers is the reason. Devontae Adams is really good, but I think there's a lot of it that goes into Aaron Rodgers too, man. I'm not taking away any credit from Devontae Adams, but I'm just saying Devontae Adams, there's a lot of his success has to do with how good his quarterback is, Yeah. I'm not taking away from him. I know he probably works hard, does all that stuff. I think a lot of it has to do with...
I mean, you're just with my memory, so you have to pardon me. I'm just like, everything he says, I'm like, oh, it's like my Coach Dub, who's been on the show. He's a coach at Fresno State, at San Jose City, San Jose City College, Fresno State, and then Nebraska, and then he obviously works in the NFL Elite. I think you already. I've told you the James Jones story multiple times. You know, he's for spring ball, kind of like we talked about. I was in the same situation as you. I didn't have any film. I got shunned away from the local JUCOs here in the East Bay. I went to San Jose City. They're like, "You want to work hard? Can you come out?" And then Coach Dub was there. I was like, "Yep." James Jones was there, so he got to work with Brett Swain, all the Packers receivers, and to this day, he's worked with Tyreek Hill and Devontae Adams, right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah, I saw that.
obviously, yeah. So Devontae obviously is one of those guys where it's like, to your point, and I got to see this in person last year. And I've told like almost every guest this, whenever when we talk about this topic, I will never forget. I will never forget the throw. Aaron's a shotgun. I want to say it's a trips, right? So Devontae and whoever the hell else. I mean, I forgot the other guys. Devontae gets Sherman one on one. He gets single high safety. They drop single high safety, and then Devontae just literally just runs the streak. And then Aaron just launches it, and it's just a burn. And then 2 weeks later in the Super Bowl, what do we see with Sammy Watkins? Same exact look, same exact route, 38-yard completion. What does Sammy Watkins say in the post game? I learned that from Devontae Adams in the NFC Championship game, back in San Francisco. So
Yeah, I see.
and so kind of to the overall point, which I agree with. I think Aaron Rodgers is very underrated in some capacity, and it also just depends on kind of what your definition of MVP is. If your definition of MVP is the guy who gets the best, it's almost like MVP doesn't really mean what it's supposed to mean. MVP means Player of the Year. Who has the best statistical season? Who has the best kind of season where you'll look at the stats, you'll be like, oh my God, this is the best player of this year. They may not necessarily be the most valuable, right? Because the most valuable player is the one who, if you take him off of that team does not look the same. Like kind of what you brought about LeBron and Jordan. You took LeBron off Cleveland, you saw what happened. You took LeBron off Miami. You know what I mean? They still had Dwayne
Mhm.
Wade, but yeah, you take LeBron off LA, they're not a championship team. Anthony Davis has proven he can't win a championship unless he has someone like LeBron. Same thing with Green Bay. You take Aaron Rodgers off of Green Bay. You take Peyton Manning off the Colts. Remember what happens when Peyton Manning was off the Colts? They did a
Yeah,
Super Bowl next year. Were they 2-14?
right.
You know, so I totally agree. I mean, and that's an important point to make. Football is the most, and to your other point, football is the most ultimate team sport. One player cannot impact the game as much as opposed to other sports, like let's say soccer, let's say basketball. Go ahead.
100%. I mean,
Yeah,
what is it like? 60% of the league's undrafted.
yeah,
It's crazy, man.
yes
But
sir, yes sir. Yeah,
I
no,
gotta.
I got you. Yeah, yeah. So let's look anything else. So kind of, I guess closing thoughts, right? Pretty much with this. I think it's good to learn about your kind of career, your playing career, but kind of talk to me about kind of what's your New Year's resolution if you have any, and kind of what's in store for you.
Man, I'm just. I'm trying to. I'm hoping we're turning the corner with this COVID stuff, man. Because I'm trying to get back to normal life, man.
Yeah.
I'm going to Orlando in a couple of days. Hopefully, I'm gonna go to this little event going down over there, flag football.
Mhm.
Do that for a little bit of fun because I'm on vacation, like I told you. And just, man, I'm just right now, man. My only New Year's resolution is for my family and I and all the people I love is to be healthy, man. Because
Inshallah, man.
the way things are going, man, you don't know. So inshallah, that's the most important goal right now.
What and actually, and yeah, I know you have to go, but kind of talk to me about kind of the perceptions of like being a Muslim athlete. And I know that you obviously felt like you weren't good enough to be in the NFL. I disagree. A lot of other people would disagree on that. But yeah, you do have guys like Ode Abushi, who's like playing right now the Detroit Lions. You do have guys like Aziz Al Shair. You have guys who also like for both of our backgrounds like Jabron Hamdan. Talk to me about kind of your kind of what was it like for you being a Muslim athlete and kind of growing up.
So one of the weirdest things, obviously, is when you go out to team, you can't do a lot of the things they do.
Exactly, right? You talk
Can't
about
do a lot
college
of
life. So
things they
talk
do.
to me. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't do a lot of things they do. You don't drink, obviously. Pizza, no pork, all that stuff. It's just different, man. You're so accustomed to a different type of world. And then when you go out there and there's guys that do those different things, and you're just like, man, I can't do that. I don't do that. I don't do those things. So that's like the hardest part. It's just different. And then don't forget, man, a lot of the sports go on during Ramadan. You got prayer to pray. You
Fasting.
got to fast, man. It's tough fasting when you got a damn football game at noon.
Yeah.
It's tough, man. And then when you finish the game, you still got like 4 more hours to go, and you're just like, man, I'm thirsty.
Can't even drink water.
Yeah, man. So that's just how it is, man. I mean, it's tough, but it's just what it is.
Yeah. But obviously, I mean that's what makes us who we are. Part of your identity very strongly, part of mine, and alhamdulillah, man, it's great.
Yes,
So
sir.
Yes, sir. Well, all right. Well, Abdul Mahdi, great having you on the show, man.
It was a
Have a great.
pleasure, Asif.
Yes, sir. Have a great rest of the day and enjoy your time and happy New Year's, man.
You too. Thank you, man. Take care.
Inshallah. All right. Take
All
care.
right. Bye bye.
Bye.